Behind the hood, beyond the arc, and past the sparks to talk shop with industry insiders who bring real-world experience and a unique perspective to every topic. This Weldcast exists to educate, inform, and support the welding community. References to tools, products, companies, or sponsors do not imply endorsement by our guests, their employers, or one another. Nothing in this Weldcast should be taken as instruction, technical direction, or engineering advice. Always follow the appropriate safety standards for your work environment, including ANSI Z49.1, ANSI Z136.1, and all manufacturer documentation, including owner and operator manuals. Only perform work within your training qualifications, follow all warnings and labels, and seek formal instruction to advance your skills.
Hey, it's sparks and spatter time, so let's talk welding. And let me tell you a story about how a simple process change and finding the right machine changed the way a pipe shop does all their welding. And it all started on a frozen lake during an ice fishing trip in northern Michigan. Sometimes the best conversations don't happen in the shop, they happen out on the ice. Now, the way this story goes, a buddy of mine who was visiting from Wisconsin was looking to outfit a new pipe shop. And someone told him exactly the machine he needed for the type of work he was doing, and that was a Lincoln Pipe FAB, which is a very capable machine. It's a dual feeder machine, and it's a lot of machines. We happened to have one in the shop. I told him to come on in and give it a try. And at the same time, he kind of mentioned to me, you know, this whole STT business, he said, I tried it once and I thought it sucked. I didn't understand why anybody would ever want to use it. And like I say, this guy's a welding rock star. I just snickered and said, you're doing it wrong. And it's not because he didn't know how to weld. It's because modified short circuit breaks every rule you were ever taught about MIG welding. And if you follow the old rules, you're going to screw it up. So come test day, about a week later, this guy shows up at 8 a.m. on a Friday on his own time with hand-beveled pipes that look like they've been turned on a lathe. My guy was serious and capable. He came in and we went right to work. I set that machine up exactly the way you would in a pipe shop. One side had 035 ER70, the C25 gas for short circuit in the root. I guess you could use carbon dioxide if you want to. The other side was set up with 045 ER70 with C10 gas, 90% argon, 10% carbon dioxide for pulse on the fill and cap of the weld. Yep, and that machine worked great. I told him to ride in the puddle, just like he was taught not to do. And on the very first weld, he nailed it. I mean, this guy could definitely put down a MIG weld. And all I had to do was give him a little bit of coaching on how the process was different, and he was off to the races. So I let him fine tune it, we welded with the machine, and then I put him to the test. I pulled out the PowerWave 300C, a small integrated MIG unit, multi-process, capable of STT, modified short circuit, and various pulse waveforms. I stuck 045 ER70 in there and put 9010 on the back, and he laughed at me. And he said, I'm not doing a root pass with 045. It's going to turn out like poo. And you want me to run 9010 gas? Are you crazy? I said, man, just try it. So he did. He humored me. He walked over, pulled the trigger on the MIG gun, laid in a perfect root pass, flipped it right into pulse without changing wire or gas, did a beautiful fill and cap on that pipe. And he turned around and his eyes opened up and he looked at me and said, are you shitting me? And I said, no, that's what it's capable of. And they basically were doing a TIG root pass at 2 inches a minute. And we just more than doubled the travel speed by doing a simple process change. We had the same fusion, the same penetration, the same weld quality, just a hell of a lot faster. And that's how using a waveform to your benefit and understanding how to apply different weld processes can optimize your efficiencies. Think they were making money? Hand over freaking fist, right? And now, here's the golden part. We got it down to one machine, one wire, and one gas. Totally simplifies his world and makes his welds a lot easier to accomplish. And then we opened it up on Schedule 10 stainless. And we took a 2-pass TIG weld, 2 passes on 8-inch stainless to 1 pass. at 3 times the travel speed with modified short circuit, traveling vertical down with damn near no skill required. So at the end of the day, once we did that, think about what that meant in savings. We're talking over a 70% savings in labor and overhead. Think about how fast you can get a job done. Again, applying the machine and its capabilities to its potential, right? And not just doing it the way we've always done it. And you know what the ultimate reward is in a situation like this? I got a text last week from this fella, and he just bought another Lincoln PowerWave 300C. And that's not marketing. That's physics. Now, after that day, I found out initially he had placed an order for 3 PowerWave 300Cs for the same price he would have paid for just one of those pipe fab machines. And I'm not saying the pipe fab is not a great machine, but man, they're there to take your money if you don't know what you're doing and you think that's the only solution you got, right? So spending a little bit of time doing a little bit of process development, we got him a lot more machines, a lot more bang for his buck. And let's take that a step further, right? Let's look at that potential savings all the way through the chain, right? We can use less prep because MIG is more forgiving on the prep side. They were doing square butts on this sched 10 with no bevel, right? Single pass with modified short circuit using 035 or 045 stainless wire. At the same time, on the carbon steel, they went from buying a half a pallet of 035 and a half a pallet of 045 to buying one full pallet of just 045. So they either had wire in stock or they were out because they were using one wire. When they went over to the rack to grab gas, they grabbed C10. There was only one gas in the rack. At the same time, they had one stainless mix they were using with one stainless wire. So they were able to simplify their inventory and buy larger quantities of the same stuff, which will get you a volume discount as well, right? So simplify your business, look upstream, look downstream, and that's the job of welding personnel, is to figure out how this best fits in your workflow, in your purchasing schedule, and according to the codes and standards that you're working to. All right, so dig deep, dive deep, and until next time, keep your hood down and don't stare at the bright lights.
If you found this conversation interesting, entertaining, or useful, give us a like and subscribe. More Sparks and Spatter Weldcast conversations are coming your way. Thanks for watching.